Legends of the game it is. Once more we're celebrating one cricket legend, Brendan Taylor, who managed to create a niche in his own way called the uppercut. So he's called the king of the uppercut. Welcome, legend.
Thank you for having me.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Couple of weeks now, but
How old are you now?
39.
39. You don't look 39.
I don't feel 39, so I'm thankful for that.
How do you feel? You feel 16?
Feel great. Wouldn't go 16, late 20s.
Late 20s, okay, cool. So take us back to when this cricket bug bites.
As early as 6 years old, I think. I was very fortunate to attend a wonderful school called Lofordia.
Okay.
Children actually go through there now. I attended that from 92 to 98. And it was a foundation for a passion for cricket. There's a rich history of cricketing family traditions under the Campbell family, Alistair and his brother Donald. His father, Mr. Ian Campbell, very influential in the early stages of my career. Created a real passion and then obviously supported through my family.
You're talking of the Campbells. Allow me to quote some statement from Alistair Campbell. It describes you as an outstanding player with unorthodoxy shots. What's your relationship with Alistair?
It's been great. Still is today.
Is he part of family?
Big fun.
Is he part of your family?
No, just family friends. Family friends, and obviously through 34 years now, we've known them and have a great bond with them. So, you know, he's in his own right one of Zimbabwe's greatest captains, and I learned a lot under him when he was convener of selectors as a young player. I lent on him for advice and guidance, and he held me accountable as well. So a lot to be thankful for under Alistair, yes.
So let's get to the signature shot. What's the signature shot? Why are you called the king of the uppercut?
I don't know. I tell you why. I was never very good on the pull shot.
Okay.
I had very low hands, and it was very hard for me to get my hands up in time to pull the ball. So it seemed to me easier to go from there to there and create a elevated shot over a wicketkeeper. So looking back now, there's no real fielders behind the wicketkeeper. So it was a shot that I learned quite quickly, and I didn't feel it was a high-risk shot.
Okay.
So I had to find another way, and fortunately that was something that came to me fairly easily. It looks a lot harder than it is.
Oh, because when you do it, it looks very easy. It's like it's a very easy thing. 138 runs against India in 2015. Is that a memorable? Is that a memorable match for you? Do you still reminisce about it?
Well, it was my last match before I exited to the UK to play 3 years of county cricket. So it was quite an emotional time as well. I did 11 or 12 years with Zimbabwe cricket. I felt I needed at that time a change. My family was still based in Zimbabwe. My kids were still going to school.
Yeah.
So for the 6 months of the summer I was in the UK, then I'd come back. Under the Kolpak era, I was not allowed to continue playing international cricket. But I felt it was a necessary change to make to change my game and have a change of area code. But I was under Peter Moores, the ex-England coach who coached England twice. I gained valuable knowledge from him, and then I came back in 2017 for 4 years for Zimbabwe cricket. So, yeah, enjoyable times. The difficult times being away from family and friends, and international cricket has always been dear to me. So it wasn't an easy decision to make, but it was a memorable game. We did lose that game. We were in a position to win it. I think we dropped Suresh Raina early doors, and we had them 94 chasing maybe 295, and MS Dhoni and Suresh Raina carried it all the way through. So if we were a bit more clinical in our fielding, I think we might have had a good chance of winning that game, but not to be.
So would you call that a record, 138 runs versus India?
It's my highest score against India. It's not a record. It's not my highest personal score, but certainly against India, yes.
And where did you learn that uppercut thing?
I learned it in about 2010 in South Africa on the fast bouncy pitches where I couldn't pull the ball. I was either ducking or...
It was a survival technique that turned out to be a
yeah, it was an uncomfortable position, and I found a way to score. So I tried to develop it as much as I could.
So, your strength now, you right-handed, right? You're a right-handed batsman.
Yes.
Where is your strength? Is it off spinner?
I guess in the early stages of my career, fast bowling was a strength. Spin, I needed to develop that until I incorporated sweeping into my game. Then I took my game to another level. So probably spin became a bit more of my strength. But after years and years of facing fast bowling, you can try to combine both and find out how to improve or sharpen your techniques on both. So I enjoyed that challenge of it.
Is Andy Fowler your role model?
And he's my main role model, I think, reaching the pinnacle of number one in the test arena, a hard man in his own right. He was the glue of the Zimbabwe cricket team, his brother and his work ethic, his professionalism, a hard man mentally, England's greatest coach in history, statistically. So I look up to him immensely, and I still do today, and I reach out to him and ask for his advice. I'd love to work with him one day. I really would.
Yeah, you speak passionately about international cricket, but tell me something. Can somebody live on cricket in Zimbabwe? Yeah, full time as a profession. Can you live on?
Yeah,
It's highly paying.
Absolutely. Yeah. In
Which
time,
one?
I think the early stages there's a struggle for payment. But there's vast amounts of money generated by the ICC, and I think Zimbabwe cricket, the national players, particularly the senior guys, I'm not too clued up on it at the moment, but there's the guys, the Razas, the older, the Williams, I think the Mazarabanis, I think they're being well taken care of. I think so. And then through time, if you're consistent with your performances, I think the rewards are there financially, absolutely.
Let's talk standards. You've been playing for 17 years or more. You've played with legends. Do you think that the standards have improved, they have gone down? How do you look at it today?
In Zimbabwe cricket
Yes,
currently?
yeah.
I personally think, and just sitting from an outsider and working with a few guys in the nets from a coaching perspective, there's a lot of enthusiasm around there. I think there's a real positive shift, especially gearing up towards the T20 World Cup in 26, the 50 over World Cup in 2027, which we are hosting. And that's all very exciting. So the best way to put it is Zimbabwe cricket in my era was we never really maintained keeping players. Players left, I think, and now we're attracting players. We're attracting players out of school and from abroad. So that tells me there's big positive changes. I think from the managing director to the chairman, there's a buy-in to absolutely propel Zimbabwe cricket forward in the best interest of everyone involved in Zimbabwe cricket. So it's exciting.
It's exciting indeed, but let me ask you, you said 138 runs, it was a score that you've never beaten, but what would you consider as your highest peak in cricket?
I think the 2015 World Cup in Australia and New Zealand.
What happened
at
there?
At the same time, I got 138 against India. I think that's the best I've ever felt as a cricket player over a prolonged period of time, and maintaining that form going into England and in the county cricket, which is different conditions, different balls, different pitches. So at 28, I think I was 29 at the time. I guess as a cricketer, I was excited for the change. I didn't put much pressure on myself, so it enabled me to play my best cricket. So there's been moments, there's been inconsistencies, there's been consistent times, but there's extreme highs and extreme lows in cricket. So it's how you bounce back from the tough times. And it's the greatest game or the worst game in the world. So I love the competition. I love trying to get better.
The word in the streets says you back like Mark, back like, the return of the Mark. You're back after some banning.
Yes.
And, tell us more about your plans.
20, when was it? 2021, I think it was. I received a 3.5-year ban.
Why?
A delayed report in match fixing. I had a very difficult time in my life in terms of what I was going through from a substance and alcohol struggles, and I was really sort of in the deep dark hole of some depression and anxiety masked by substance and alcohol abuse. And I took a trip to India, and I wasn't seeing clearly. I wasn't conducting myself in the right way. With good intentions to go to India and maybe market myself, network myself, and I was blackmailed under using substance abuse I was video recorded in a hotel room using substance, and they blackmailed me in terms of trying to get other players to fix cricket games. So looking back, I've been many things in life that I'm not proud of, but being a cheat is certainly not one of those. So, a valuable lesson for me. It brought me to my knees over a 3-year period. I think COVID had come in, and it was a very slow process, and not knowing what was the outcome. I delayed the report by 3 months because of the damning
That's what I
evidence.
wanted to ask you. Say, why did it take you long to
When you have
report the case?
when you have damning evidence, it takes 20 years to build it up, and one night of madness it can all come crashing down. So, there was a paralyzing fear of, family, the world seeing the true colors. It's not an easy thing to do, but it became unbearable after a while because you're dealing with some people that are not the nicest of people. So they want a return on their investment.
So they gave you money to fix. Did they give you money to fix the match?
It was a figure of $15,000, not life-changing money, but nonetheless a good sum of money, sure. But that was initially my appearance fee under a contract to travel to India. So clearing that through my agent was trying to keep my wits about myself and making sure it was all above board, which it seemed at the time, until I arrived in India. And the last night of the trip, it was a very short 3-day trip. I was excited about getting home, but I was drinking and I was using at the time. And little to my knowledge, I was being recorded under the table.
So which drugs are you dabbling?
I was into cocaine. Into cocaine, yeah. Looking back now, it wasn't India that created an addiction, that fueled the addiction.
Okay.
I had some personal struggles for years that I'd masked very well. I'd hid that from people.
How many years were you hitting the lines?
It was on and off for a number of years. I think when I met my wife
Did she know that you were hitting the lines?
for the first 6 years, I never touched in our relationship. I was a drinker, but I was quite an extremist in many ways, where I would train meticulously for cricket, but if I had opportunities to socialize, I would push that. I'd push that very hard. So I became quite a binge drinker in that sense. I met my wife at 6 years. I only drank, and then I filtered back into substance abuse, or not so much abusing it, but when I did, I'd tour for 6 weeks. I'd come back and I'd see that as an opportunity. So not a productive way of living, but the pressure cooker of cricket, I can't tell you why I would use it. I don't know.
So how rife is the use of cocaine in cricket players, from your experience? Because obviously you're not hitting the lines alone, right?
Well, I mean, I've definitely used with cricket players. I'll never mention names, obviously. I think, yeah, there's a concern out there for sure. Again, it's why people do it. But cricket is a high pressure sport.
Yeah.
There's a lot riding on that. So some people might tend to lean towards that might be a solution to life to deal with. It's a delusional way of thinking, but it's, people can lean towards alcohol. Why, alcohol is very acceptable, but it's very damaging at the same time. So you combine the two, obviously now it's serious stuff, but it's concerning. I think not just cricketers. I think all sportsmen. There's business people. There's students. There's a lot of people grappling with this. It's
I thought cricket is a gentleman's game, so you all need. So in hindsight now, looking at what you went through for these 3 years that you were banned, what then would you say to somebody who's starting to play his cricket professionally? What advice would you give them so that they stay away, they don't walk in those footsteps of meeting, you call them what, bookmakers?
bookmakers.
Or dabbling in drugs? What advice would you give to somebody? Let's say if you had to go back and say, okay, I'm starting from scratch, what would you not do?
Well, I think gaining sobriety, you think a lot clearer. You act a lot more. You act accordingly. And rewinding the clock back 3, 4, 5 years ago was very spontaneous. Very. There's no real clarity on my decision makings. To answer your question regarding a young player joining the group, I mean, surrounding yourself with people that are going to drive you forward in the right direction. For many years I did the right things. The stumbling block came right at the end, although there were signs early doors that I have the gene of that can be susceptible to alcohol and drug addiction. That is a disease that is internal. So again, I look back at the journey in terms of the best thing that's ever happened to me, because the last 3 years have given me so much growth as a person, from a spirituality standpoint, from relationships being stronger than ever. I've been a lot more productive.
There was a positive overspill from that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I don't see that as nowadays. I don't see it as I have a huge amount of regret to that. Obviously, life is not perfect.
No one is perfect.
I've learned from it. I've come out the other end of a rehabilitated person. Through addiction, you steal time. You steal time from your loved ones, your family, your friends, your employers. So I look forward to continue to give back to my children, give back to Zimbabwe cricket, because Zimbabwe cricket gave me a huge amount, I want to be of service to that group. I don't want to be an egotistical individual putting myself first. It's about the wider community. It's about the group of players that are in front of you to propel them forward. And if you do that, you will grow internally, and hopefully there might be a good performance for me. But the main focus is the group.
The group. So in these 3 years that you were banned, 3.5 years, you still practiced, right? You still kept yourself fit. My question is, why would you not consider coaching? Why are you coming back as a player?
Well, I've been open-minded the whole journey through. I've really enjoyed my coaching. I've learned so much as a coach, and I continue to learn.
But you're coming back as a player now?
I'm coming back as a player because I met the MD, Mr. Gimor Makoni, about 18 months ago in his office. I wanted to be proactive from a coaching standpoint, whether I could maybe offer some service to maybe the under-19s, for example, or the national team batting coach when the sanction was lifted. But he actually stopped me in my tracks and said, you can coach till you're 50 or 60. And I said, that's a valid point. And he asked me, do I still have much to offer as a player? And that got me thinking.
Of course, you have a lot to offer. That signature shot is needed right now. Yeah.
I think there's more things, more important things than the signature shot.
Which are?
Guiding the young generation of players, and offering real value to the group. So it was wonderful to have his support, and his backing. He didn't have to back me on that. But you see Craig Irvine and Sean Williams, who's Craig's the oldest, he's 40 this year. Sean Williams is 39, Raz is 39, I'm 39. These guys are still at the top of their game, so that's inspirational for me, So I've put huge focus on training and coaching and getting physically fit. So I believe there's many life left in the body, but my mind is strong and it's healthy. It's clear. So I look forward to challenging myself in a rehabilitated state, not a toxic, inebriated state.
There is still a lot of fight left in this bulldog, right?
I think
Anyway.
we're always competitive by nature, you know.
Yeah, cool. So, what's wrong with the current cricket fraternity? Because you say you went to meet the MD 18 months ago. Obviously, from your discussion, there are areas that you touched on in terms of the cricket fraternity. What do you think is wrong? What do you think needs to be addressed?
Well, first and foremost, he could see me as a changed person. So I think he was relieved to see that.
Okay.
And there was a sense of genuineness. I wasn't manipulating the system. I was coming from a sincere place. What's concerned me for a long period of time is how do we kickstart the young guys? The young guys come from backgrounds out of town. The guys need to be educated on everything in terms of finance, to how do you separate the struggles from home to playing, because cricket's hard enough as it is. So if you bring all the internal factors in, that disrupts cricket. Cricket's very hard on its own. So again, from an emotional standpoint, emotional clarity, there's so much growth there that can be done. You know, I'm still going through it myself, but through my struggles, I hope I can emotionally, internally, from my experience, hopefully educate some of the guys. Not that they have a substance problem or a drinking problem, but it's very hard to explain it. But I would love to sort of share my knowledge on that and work with guys that can, as a calming influence, and a guy that can offer some real value as from a technical standpoint, emotionally, mentally, and technically.
So, you know that you are very much celebrated in Zimbabwe and even abroad. There are 3 questions from your fans. So they sent me,
Okay.
I'll read one. What do you think are the most important steps that Zimbabwean cricket can take to inspire and nurture young talent, especially in rural areas where access to resources and facilities may be limited?
Good question. Good question. What I am hearing is Zimbabwe cricket investing in the high density areas. I think there's talk there's a ground going up in Vic Falls. There's a ground that they want to develop in Gweru. I think Esegodini out in Bulawayo, there's facilities going up. So if you remember, I think you wind the clock back. Where did Hamilton Masakadza come from? To tender Taibu, Stu Matskanyeri.
From the hood.
From Zimbabwe cricket, from investing in the high density areas. So we have to tap into that area, unearth that talent. Talent doesn't come from private schools as well. It comes from all communities. So there's a passion for cricket, and it's the guys like Raza or the Taibus or the current crop of players that's inspiring the young generation.
Okay.
You can see Zimbabwe cricket when there's a match on. The crowds are there. The crowds are there, and I remember as a young kid being there. That triggered me I want to be there one day. And that's very important to the young generation. Ignite the spark in the young player.
Ignite the spark, you say. Number 2, in your experience, what kind of support and infrastructure do young cricketers in Zimbabwe need to develop their skills and reach the international stage? And how can the cricket community contribute to creating those opportunities?
The cricket community, from a support base, they've been fantastic. We have some very passionate fans. Grassroots cricket has to be looked after, and I know there are necessary and measures that are being taken place to filter down from under 6, under 10, under 14s, right up to under 19 level. The first part of your question, what was that again?
In your experience, what kind of support and infrastructure do young cricketers in Zimbabwe need to develop their skills and reach international stage?
Certainly sacrifice, dedication. You have to be all in.
Do you need sacrifice?
Sacrifice. So
no, when you speak of sacrificing in African tradition, it's sacrificing a goat or something.
Fair point. Fair point. Sacrifice the things that are going to hold you back. You know,
Okay.
there's a time and a place to celebrate or socialize. You know, that barbecue or braai or that date night, or that'll always be there. You know,
Okay.
but
Or you sacrifice your time.
do the hard things. Do the hard things more consistently. Make the hard choices more consistent. With that comes internal growth, discipline, focus, through hard work and drive, dedication. Guys, any person can reach the top through commitment and prioritizing cricket or whatever path you choose in life. Prioritize it.
I think you touched on this. The number 3 from one of your fans says, how can the Zimbabwe Cricket Board and other organizations collaborate with schools, youth programs, and local clubs to create a more robust pathway for young players to transition from grassroots cricket to professional levels?
One thing I would like to suggest, because this was part of it in the 90s or early 2000s, I know the Zimbabwe players in their contracts had to attend a school once a week as part of their coaching and as part of their contract. So, yes, I understand cricket's schedules are quite busy. There's so many tournaments and leagues in the world, but I think Zimbabwe players need to give more time, whether 1 hour a week, 2 hours a week at a school, and trying to reach all the schools from high density to town centre to wherever. I think that needs to be brought back. Not only that, does that benefit the young players, that can enhance the player as a coach later on as well. So they grow as a coach. So cricket can just be training, can be quite selfish in terms of without even knowing that they're training. It's very intense schedule to prepare for a series, but 1 hour a week will impact those children more than they would imagine. So
It will help them transition. Okay. I've watched your videos over and over doing that uppercut, and I said, wow, I have never seen somebody in Zimbabwe with such dexterity in terms of the game. But then I'm also convinced that there are top cricketers in your own way and world. So I want you to give me 10 top cricketers in Zimbabwe.
10 top cricketers?
Yes, that you say these are legends of the game.
Oh, from past and
Past and current,
Okay.
yes.
Number 1, Andy Flower.
Of course, he's your role model.
I think he's a few people's role models. His brother
Okay.
Grant Flower was very influential from a batting coach for me. He really, he made me understand professionalism and hard work, high work ethic, and he held me very accountable. So for him, they're right up there. Alistair Campbell, from a captain standpoint, driving me forward. So there's 3. I think we all enjoyed Henry Longa. I certainly enjoyed watching him.
Wait,
very
do you
fast.
still talk to him?
I haven't talked to Henry in many years, but I've had many great times with him in the UK. We played in a Lashings World 11, which is quite as a charity. So you raise money for all sorts of charity causes. And Henry was obviously a phenomenal singer, so he was always at these events singing and then maybe bowling a little bit.
Next time you talk to him, tell him to come back to Zim. We want him here.
I think he'll be very well received, you know.
Yes.
But certainly a pioneer in his own area.
Yeah.
So that's how many is that? 4.
4, yeah.
Tatenda Taibu.
5.
You talk about impact. You know, he's impacting the wider communities. His from Churchill to I think Chippendale as well. Very, very influential, inspirational to many. There's so many. I'm going to say Dave Houghton's been very impactful. I was as a batting coach. I missed him currently now under a head coach role, but he's a batting genius. He understands the game very well. Currently, Raza's impacting the nation in a positive way. You know, his game is elevated to new heights. He's traveling the world through hard work, dedication. He's reaping the fruits of his labor for sure. I'm definitely going to miss a few names here, but unintentionally.
Take your time.
There's not a rush. Okay.
Take your time.
Oh, good.
Think about them.
Who else is there? Let's think. Yeah, Craig Irvin's impacting the group right now. Sean Williams is a fantastic player, still going strong. So who else is there? There's Blessing Mazarabani is the very exciting prospect. Richie and Garava is another one. You know, these guys are coming into their own right. They haven't peaked yet. They're 4 or 5 years into their international careers. The best is yet to come. So hopefully fitness and high school still remains, and there's no real injuries. But those guys are very, very, very important to Zimbabwe cricket. What they bring as fast bowlers, we've struggled for fast bowling for a number of years, and they bring something very unique. From a spinner standpoint, I think Graham Creamer is one, a good friend of mine. I think he's probably our greatest leg spinner, I would say. Ray Price, another one.
Okay.
Left arm spinner, he reached #1 in the world in T20 cricket. Very skilled bowler, very economical.
You have a good relationship with Ray, right?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, he told me that. No, you know what?
He's got a great cricket
Yeah.
chop. I'd suggest if you need some good quality cricket gear, go and see it.
Yeah, I know.
Pomona.
Right. You know my crew. I told you they are cricket heads. They've got questions. Simba, do you have a question for the legend?
Maybe one.
Yeah.
Maybe sort of puts you on the spot, but I wanted to ask you, in the future, if an opportunity presents itself for you to run Zimbabwe cricket, would that be something that would interest you?
I certainly don't look too far ahead in life. I try and get today right, and then we start again tomorrow. I certainly, what I do want one day, God willing, is that to coach. I want to stay in the game for forever. Since 6 years old, cricket's been everything. So I want to be the best person I can be in that field. I'm not a business guy, or I got a bit of common sense, but that's as far as it goes. So if I can offer a few more years as a cricket player and then transition into a coach, who knows? I keep an open mind, but I'd like to do that to the best of my ability for many years to coach. Thanks, Simba.
Another one. Or maybe like, can you tell us more about your stint in England when you were county cricketer? Did you like develop a game?
Yes. County cricket was very necessary for me. It's very different to playing here. You use different balls, the grass. There's a
The grass is greener.
A lot of green ground.
The grass is greener in England.
Literally greener, so the ball will move around a lot more. But I developed a lot there. There's a very, very professional outfit, a lot of history at the club. Many great players have gone through the club, and you could feel that rich tradition and how important the club means to everyone. So it was great to experience that. Wonderful people, very professional people, but a sacrifice that I had to make. Never easy being away from your kids. And your wife, but I enjoyed my time there. I came back and I felt I was a better player, and now coming into 2017, leading up to.
Money-wise, does it pay better than they say?
Well, that's where people have assumed wrong, because I earned less money in England than I did here. So people thought I was chasing the money. That wasn't the case.
Oh, home is.
Like, most of us here, we felt betrayed, And like, if it was like in the national team, you're the only person who bring hope to us, and then the next morning, BT is going to England, play county. You think it betrays?
There's never my intention to betray Zimbabwe cricket, sure. It was something that I took very seriously. Maybe emotionally, I became very stale and stagnant, and I was struggling to drive myself forward. So again, a fresh change might have been necessary. 3 years went by very fast, and I had 4 pretty good years coming back. Although there were some struggles, I managed to get through that as best as I could. But I'm here, I'm back, and I'd like to develop the relationship with Zimbabwe cricket further. That seems to be in a good place, and I'd like to stay here for a long time.
Yeah. Very valid questions from the crew. I told you they are cricket heads. Anyway,
Good question.
before I ask you about the way forward from here, since you're back and you're back like you never left, are we likely to be seeing more of that uppercut since you're back?
I'll play each ball as it comes. Eh?
Each ball as it comes.
I'll play it on its merits.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm practicing a bit. I'm just, each day I'd look for the small wins in training. But it's being consistent with that. It's training at high intensity levels. And some sessions don't go so good, but that's all part of the training. Embrace the tough sessions because that's where more growth will come. You analyze that. And the next day is different. But I'm enjoying the morning and the afternoon training, really, really trying to utilize this time as wisely as I can and still find time to coach as well. So I'm enjoying that balance.
From here, where to?
Today, from here,
From your routine, your daily routine, where to? Any plans, bigger plans that you...
no bigger plans. That's not up to me to decide.
Oh, it's not up to you to decide. All right.
No, I mean, developing a faith, I don't control things like that. I try.
You're now a spiritual man, eh?
I'm very spiritual, thank
Oh.
goodness, because where I was going in life was a big struggle, so I needed something a lot more powerful than myself to tap into to maintain daily spiritual fitness or daily sobriety. So that's number one priority. And then the training is a lot easier to do now, a lot more willingness to do that because there's clarity, there's drive, and there's a bit more direction.
Spiritual fitness, how do you define it? You speak of spiritual fitness.
Something I'm still working towards every day, something I don't always get right. Just daily maintenance, developing spirituality with a higher power.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a Christian now?
I like Christian. I'm a spiritual guy, but I do go to church as well. I'm finding my way. I'm learning a lot about this, and I enjoy developing my relationship. If I do that, if I develop my relationship with God, I think there comes spiritual fitness. I was asleep to God for 36 years, and then you go through real trauma and tough, dark places. To come out the other side, there's got to be power there. So human willpower or what's the right word for willpower is not strong enough to get you out of that dark hole. You need something much more powerful.
Something higher than willpower.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last question from one of your fans is, as a role model for young cricketers, what advice would you give to the next generation, but not only improving their technical skills, but also developing the mental toughness and ambition needed to succeed at the highest level of their international career?
Good questions. Stay true to your dream or your goals. If you're pursuing cricket, it's an achievable dream. Like I touched on earlier, I think through unwavering commitment, discipline. There's so much self-help stuff out there. There's so much, mental toughness or discipline. There's so many podcasts or reading literature out there that can really tap into. Cricket's very much not just a skill-based game, but more of a mental game. So to understand the mind, how to engage that with developing your skills is very important. Cricket will be tough. It's how you bounce back from that or stay in a tough moment for longer to come out of that moment. The momentum always come back to you. So the best players in the world don't hit the ball necessarily a lot better than other players. They understand how to hang in the tough moments. If the bowler's dominating them, they hang in there longer. They come out. The momentum comes back. So that's something that needs to be learnt over a period of time. You've got to go through the battle to do that. And then comes growth. But is there more to the question that I'm missing out?
No. You touched on the spiritual mental part. That is what your fan is asking about.
Right. I mean, spirituality, I wish I had that way back.
Yeah.
That would have helped me immensely, sure. But nothing's wasted. I'm lucky enough to have it, even though it came later.
You are lucky and you are celebrated at Legends of the Game. Thank you so much, BT. And I and my crew wish you the best.
Thank you.
In your redefining moment, since you're now redefining your path and career. We wish you all the best, and we are behind you. And I challenge cricket fans to Google Brandon Taylor, signature shot, and you'll understand why this man is a legend. This was another legendary celebration of Legends of the Game. Till next time, cheers and bye-bye.